What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here with your Packers Daily Chat, live on Cheesehead TV. Wherever you are on the internet, that's where we want to be because we're devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. A day after the Packers get their first and only road victory during the NFL's 2018 season, escaping going down in infamy as the only team in Green Bay to ever go 8 games on the road without winning in a single season. Packers take down the Jets in overtime. Took overtime to do it, but they got it done. Aaron Rodgers having a hell of a game. Ron Zook's special teams not having a hell of a game. But a hell of a lot of people showing up for the chat. It's always nice to see everybody. See everybody on Facebook, on YouTube. Thanks so much for stopping by, making Cheesehead TV part of your Packers routine. We got a road win, says Zach. Yes, they did. How does that feel, huh? Feels pretty good. Like Aaron Rodgers said, get that plane ride home, feeling good. Caught you live, dude. What's up, Bill? Got to take a shot at DJ Swearinger, right? Well, Matt, I'd be very surprised if they put a claim in. He's only got 1 year left on his deal, but if he makes it through waivers, I wouldn't be surprised. They did have him in 2015 to work out. Maybe they can find something there going forward. You do wonder about the fact that he's now going to be on his, 5th team in a few years. So that would tell you that maybe there's a little friction there, personality-wise. But, when he's talking about getting cut for calling out a defensive coordinator in public, there are worse things. And maybe you look at the tape, maybe he's right. Who knows? But, I think that's definitely a possibility because of the fact that they had him in earlier. Obviously Ted didn't pull the trigger there, but maybe Gutekunst was the one driving that originally. So we'll see how it plays out. But it wouldn't surprise me if they went that way, provided he goes unclaimed. Please sit number 12 next week. He doesn't need to prove anything anymore, and we need a better draft selection. All right, well, we've had this argument 100 times. I'm all for sitting him down, but I don't care about draft selection. I just want our $134 million investment to be healthy. He took a number of shots yesterday. He's already playing hurt. I get why he wants to play, and I applaud him for wanting to play. I don't think it's smart business to play him, but sure seems like he's going to play. So I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it, because I sure did yesterday. Oh, Jason, thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you too, buddy. Merry Christmas to everybody here. Thank you so much, as I always say, for making us part of your Packers week, season, etc. We thank you. Can't thank you enough for all the support. Could Aaron refusing to sit these last couple meaningless games be our galvanizing moment looking to next year? Nick, I'm going to tell you this right now. I am done looking for a galvanizing moment. I don't care about galvanizing moments. Let's burn galvanizing moment to the ground. They couldn't find one this year. It's over. It's done. I'm done. Galvanizing moments. Let's just come back next year and kick some ass. How about that? Not need a galvanizing moment. I'm all for that. Derek says, Brown, meaning Tony Brown, is one hell of a find with a lot of upside. Couldn't agree more. You saw the talent at Alabama. I think he slid probably more so due to off-field / character concerns than anything else because he's clearly got the physical talent. But yeah, I agree. He had a hell of a game yesterday, especially having to step up after Jair Alexander went down. They seem to have found a player there. Now, we'll see. I mean, nobody's polishing their laurels. Nobody's arrived yet, but the promise, the potential is definitely there. I think a big part of it will be up to him to make the commitment this offseason to get better. Whoever ends up being hired as his defensive coach needs to get in his nose in the playbook, hit the gym, etc. If he can take a big, that proverbial year 1 to year 2 jump, they might have something there. Like I said, the promise and the potential is certainly evident with Tony Brown. I just hope he puts in the work necessary to make the jump that they need him to make. They're not sitting Aaron at Green Bay. I totally agree. If they were going to sit him, they needed to do it last week. They're not going to have him play the Jets in New York and then turn around and sit him for the finale in Lambeau. Is Aaron Rodgers playing a chance to create momentum? No. Luke, it's all about, and I sense you're kidding because you added the heh at the end, but as he said, Yeah, it sure sounds like Rodgers believes in momentum in game, which I totally agree with. And he likes to, not poo-poo, but he dismisses talk of idea of picking up momentum carrying over from one season to the next. So I'm in lockstep with Rodgers on that one because, as I told Bomani in our watch party, in game, I can feel it. And if I can feel something, I must acknowledge its existence. And then something happens and you lose momentum and then it no longer is there. I'm fine with that. Now, I get intellectual arguments against momentum, and they're all valid. I just don't agree with them. So I'm very much with Rodgers on this one. How did Banky enjoy the game, Christopher? I think he seemed to enjoy it very much, although his first complaint this morning was that Rodgers was kept in after he was taking all those shots. I think Corey and I are kind of in agreement. And we'll talk about that on transplants this week, which there will be transplants. It'll be probably a bit earlier than usual on Wednesday, but there will be a Packer transplants prior to the Lions game. Fire Ron Zook. Look, man, all right. I sent out a tweet during the game after they tried the corner, angle the kick, and they got brought back for a big gain, and Jets tied it up, sent it to overtime, and look, I sent out, somewhat joking, but pretty serious. I said, Ron Zook needs to be fired and then rehired so they can fire him again. And it took off online, and people were laughing, and it was, they totally agreed. Until this morning, when a former Packer, one Jeff Janis, got all up in my business, and he said, I was a keyboard warrior because, somebody... reporter goes in and talks to Ron Zook and then leaves and then gets on Twitter and says, fire Ron Zook. First of all, I don't have access. I'd love to talk to Ron Zook. They want to talk to the Packers about credentialing Cheesehead TV. I'm more than happy to entertain the idea that I'm a keyboard warrior. But look, when I did have access, I talked to Brian Gutekunst, I talked to Mike McCarthy. I didn't say anything to them I wouldn't say on Twitter and vice versa. The whole reason I would go to locker room availabilities was so that players could talk to me or I could talk to them about anything I may have put on Twitter. So, excuse me as I take umbrage with the Twitter warrior, keyboard warrior nomenclature from Mr. Jeff Janis. I think Jeff's just mad because I always used to put up little clips of him running horrible routes, but it's neither here nor there. Ajax, Tomlin, next coach. I'd be lying if I didn't say I was intrigued. I put it up on Twitter last night. Watch Tomlin end up in Green Bay and McCarthy end up in Pittsburgh. Be pretty apt, seeing as McCarthy's from the area. But I would love Mike Tomlin as the next head coach. But I don't think we can get ahead of ourselves here. He isn't fired yet. I know they had a brutal loss yesterday, partly because of a questionable decision he made when it came to the fake punt, although I love the aggressiveness. But look, Pittsburgh has a long history of sticking with their head coaches. And it's funny, if you compare where Cowher was at this point in his career, 12 years in, to what Tomlin has done 12 years in, Tomlin's actually a little bit more accomplished. And they stuck with Cowher. So I would tend to think they'll probably stick with Tomlin, but you never know. Jeff Janis for the live watch party, please. He's welcome anytime. The open invitation. I will let him know. Nags, improve the pass rush and the right side of the O-line, and we're good. Tom Silverstein makes a point. Travis, Tom always makes good points. I thought, he made a perfect point this last offseason. He pointed to 2019 being the season the Packers would probably be a threat. And he said 2018 they'd probably come up short, and that certainly seems to have been the case. And he's been making good points since. So, yeah, Tom's one of the good ones. I'm definitely there for it. They lost to the Raiders and we lost to the Cardinals. Which one is worse? No. I mean, who cares? You talk about quality of losses. They're losses. Who cares? Aaron, do you think we might sign a big free agent name next offseason? I guess it's possible, Alex. I know the big name everyone's looking at is Jadeveon Clowney. Let's see who's actually making it to market first before we start looking at who they might sign. I mean, we're going to go through a long period of re-signings and then the franchise tags, transition tags. So It's a possibility. They'll definitely have cap space to work with. So we'll see. Let's head over to the tweet machine and see what's up. Paul starts us off with, what is up with our short yardage plays on offense? We continue to struggle, and it's plagued us all season. I agree. Some of it's design, some of it's the quarterback. I mean, yesterday they had the one where it was 3rd and 1. They sent everybody streaking downfield. Rodgers ran around for like an hour, rolled to his right, tried to like dunk a pass over the head of the defender to the, I think it was a running back, and then it went out of bounds, incomplete. I mean, that was the most Packers short yardage play of 2018. But I don't know. Maybe that's something that a new coaching staff can come in and completely rip up and take apart and reassemble and make it better, because they used to be brilliant on 3rd down, and they've been atrocious on 3rd down for the most part throughout 2018. Hello, hola from Bogota. Proud to be a Cheesehead TV patron. Andrew, thank you very much. How hard is the transition from right tackle to right guard? I love Bulaga and hope he's able to stick around and contribute at a high level. Andrew, I think Bulaga actually had, despite the number of penalties he had yesterday, he actually had a pretty strong game when he wasn't grabbing guys. And to be clear, that last call where he got called for the hold when Rodgers ran in for what would have been a winning touchdown, that was bogus. That was ticky-tack nonsense. But the others were legit. But I agree that I think the Packers are in a better spot when he's on the field playing at a high level. The problem, as always, is availability. As for your question about translating it to guard, I don't see that. He's a tackle. He's been a tackle his whole career. He doesn't really have, to my mind, the build to become a guard. He's tall. He's playing through a ton of injuries, and then you're going to slide him inside and ask him to be a guard in space and take on some of those really big defensive tackles, nose tackles, etc. I don't see it. Has EQ outplayed MVS, and will he be the starter going into 2019? I've liked the kid since before the draft. EQ's definitely come on. I loved the play yesterday where they ran the smoke out on the perimeter and he got through the alley and made something pretty much out of nothing. But hey, MVS had a really good game too. He had the one kind of stutter step where he slowed down when Rodgers thought he was going to keep going. But outside of that play, I thought he had a really strong showing as well. It's way too early to talk about who's going to be the starter in 2019. We'll see what they do in free agency. We'll see what they do in the draft. But he's making a case for himself. There's no doubt about it. And again, much like I was talking about with Tony Brown, and it's the same for all these young guys. It's all about what kind of work they put in the offseason. Do they come to camp ready, completely dialed in, make that jump from year 1 to year 2? We'll see what happens this offseason. But there's no question he has shown what he can do. You've seen a lot of the physical abilities that personnel people liked. One of the reasons he fell in the draft, again, much like Brown, off-field concerns, character concerns, attitude concerns. These are all things that pile up in reports and cause guys to fall. But you've seen all the physical ability is there. And you got to like what you see, especially with Rodgers throwing him the football. Merry Christmas, Aaron. Merry Christmas, Thomas. I'm the best at what I do. Thanks so much. Does Jamon Moore have a place in this team next year? Absolutely. It's way too early to be kicking him to the curb. Now, he's got to fight for it. He's got to come with a fresh slate, new coaching staff, new offense, hit the ground running when they get into off-season workouts. But it's up to him. Now, I'm not here and telling you he's definitely going to do something next year, and I'm not going to say he's not going to get cut, because either one of those are a possibility. But a lot of it will be up to him. Now, as far as does he have a place on the team, I think it's way too early to talk about they're going to cut him, because he obviously has had a very disappointing rookie season. But hey, you've got him under contract for 4 years. Let him go off in the offseason, come back, and see how he develops into year 2. Because the history of the NFL is written with tons and tons of guys who have had really disappointing rookie years who suddenly make a splash their second year. Let's see how he does in that regard. Let's head over back to the live chat. Any chance Packers pick up Swearinger from waivers? Darren, we talked about that at the start of the program here today. I would say I'd be very surprised if they make a claim, but I definitely wouldn't rule out them taking a look if he clears waivers. Maybe they'll go after Honey Badger. Hillary, is he set to be a free agent? I think he just signed with the Texans 2 years ago, so I would be surprised if his contract is up. But you might be right. What do you make of the reports from McGinn about the receiver coach messing up the offense and development of the younger receivers? Brad, I addressed that on the Daily on Friday. I'll just say, I think there's some validity to Rye's job being in jeopardy / not up to snuff, so to speak, this season. I would have much preferred an article with examples of, tape study showing the sloppiness of the routes, guys not sitting down at the right spot, maybe not working off each other in combo routes, etc., rather than a platform for former Packers employees to rip the guy. That's just me. But, we work in different ways. Will Geronimo be back next season? He's set to be a restricted free agent, so I don't see any reason that they let him walk or cut him or let him go, etc. I think he'll be back for at least one more year. I mean, it's really unfortunate he got hurt this year. You saw what he was capable of. 12 trusts him implicitly, loves throwing to him. I think he'd definitely keep the guy around for another season. Kumaro! Just had to say it. Nags, how are we not discussing Kumaro's first career TD? We just did. Touchdown Jesus finally strikes. And as I said on Twitter, let's also give a shout out on that play to Jamal Williams for an awesome blitz pickup. None of it happens without pass protection. He signed a year contract. Well, there you go, Hillary. I would love Honey Badger in Green Bay. I don't know how Gutekunst feels about it. The fact that he really didn't show any interest the last time around he was a free agent, I'd be surprised if they were in this time. But now, the caveat is, who's the defensive coordinator? What system are they running? Perhaps does anybody on the defensive staff have a history with Tyrann Mathieu? All those things will come into play. I love him as a player, and I hope they go after him. But like I said, it didn't seem like they had any interest last time around. But we'll see. I've been a Cobb hater for years, but will be the first to admit I'd like to see him back in a new scheme. Feels like McCarthy didn't utilize him enough. Tony, that's an interesting take. I'd be surprised, actually. I've been saying it all year. I think they let him hit the market. And then if he doesn't find something out there that he likes, dependent on the scheme that they're running, maybe they bring him back on a team-friendly deal. I do agree that I think, there were a lot of mouths to feed in the offense, and maybe they didn't kind of feature him quite as much as they should have. It's clear Rodgers loves throwing to him. He's been, obviously been going to bat for him these last few weeks. But he's gone to bat for guys before, and they've allowed those guys to walk. So I don't think it really means that much. Aaron, do you think Josh Jackson was a bit disappointed this season? Do you mean, Alex, that he had a disappointing rookie year? Not really. I think he's been a rookie. Not everyone can come in and have instant impact. A lot, especially at the cornerback position, the transition from, especially for a guy who didn't, I think he was a one-year starter at Iowa. That's a lot of football, and that's a big transition to go from playing, which is essentially 2 or 3 coverages in college, to everything you're asked to do in the NFL, a variety of different ways. I get being disappointed in it, but I don't find it disappointing. I think he's a rookie in the NFL. And the big question for me, and the big thing, and it's a theme, it's going to be throughout the entire offseason, is what kind of work does he do in the offseason? How does he come back to it? And does he kind of make that jump from year 1 to year 2? That's the biggest question. Daniel, does Gutekunst consider trading both first rounders for a top 5 pick? That's going to be tough going with the fact that the Saints pick is probably going to be so low. Even packaging, it's sitting at 14 right now. You couple that with, say, the 30th pick, 31st, wherever the Saints end up. That's going to be a tough jump to get into the top 5 without extra ammunition. And I can't imagine, unless there's somebody there that Gutekunst absolutely thinks is a genre-defining talent, somebody who is a blue-chip, generational player. But if that person is there, it's hard to see a team not taking him. So, yeah, could he? I guess the possibility does exist. You can't rule it out. But I'd be very, very surprised if he made that kind of move. Which free agent has made the most impact that we got at the beginning of the offseason? James, I'd go with Tramon Williams. I know he doesn't have a lot of splash plays. I know he's playing out of position now, but the fact that he was able to do that for the team, he's played a ton of snaps. He's missed hardly any games or hardly any snaps. Sorry. He's the locker room aspect of it. You put it all together, he's probably had the biggest impact. Now, I know the disappointment is in Jimmy Graham, but I think Tramon Williams, again, not a ton of game-changing plays, not a ton of plays where you're going to see the SportsCenter highlights or what have you, but I think he's made a big difference. Chances Wilkerson is back next season. I talked about that on Friday too. I think the chances are good. Now, some of it will depend on what defense they're running. If Pettine's back, I think it's a no-brainer. But we'll see who the staff is and what kind of scheme they're running. But I think, there's definitely a chance. Will we finally hear about coaching candidates after the regular season, or will we have to wait until after the playoffs? Patrick, as soon as Black Monday arrives, I think you'll start hearing some news. When openings happen, we'll start to hear of contacts being made. Undoubtedly, agents will start to get phone calls. Interesting enough, on that tip, clearly the Packers' former coach, Mike McCarthy, has clearly been getting calls because Jay Glazer reported on Sunday morning that McCarthy is refusing to talk to teams while they have coaches in place, which would suggest that his agent has gotten at least one call, if not more. I don't doubt that the Packers are maybe doing their due diligence on some guys who are currently employed. We know John Harbaugh is now off the list because the Ravens have said that he'll be back. But as we mentioned before in the chat, maybe Mike Tomlin, maybe a few other guys, maybe Adam Gase. Once these guys get let go, you can bet the Packers will start making some calls. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to jump. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me here on this Christmas Eve edition of Packers Daily. Thanks for watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever you are. That's where we want to be. If you like what we do here at Cheesehead TV, please consider joining our Patreon. Contribute to our Patreon. Become a patron. It's $5 a month. It supports everything we do here at Cheesehead TV. But even if you don't, thank you so much for watching and making our content part of your Packers routine. I know there is a ton of it out there, and the fact that we can handle, be even part of your Packers routine throughout the week, throughout the season, it means a lot to Corey and I. Thank you so much. And hey, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, although I'll probably see you before the New Year's. We probably won't be doing dailies after the rest of this week, but we'll be back for Packer Transplants on Wednesday, and then we'll do a Madden after that on Wednesday. So we're not quite done with content for the year, but Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. I'll talk to you guys soon.